right, thank you very much, and welcome to the Society of Entrepreneurs Gala, celebrating 25 years of growth, progress, and influence on Memphis business. You know, we've got a lot of great people who attend this event, and a lot of people know a lot of people here. And as a result of that, you want to network and enjoy talking with each other. But it's time for us to postpone the visiting, if you will, and take your seats, and we're going to get it going. You know, first things first, we've got a couple of dignitaries here. I saw Senator Mark Norris over here. Mark, can you stand up and be recognized? Thank you for your service. We also have a reservation for Mayor Jim Strickland. Has there been a Jim sighting yet? Where are you, Jim? Let's give the mayor a hand. Thank you, Jim, for all the good work you do for our city. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Don Hudson, and I'm your MC for the evening. I want to welcome each of you. You're in store for a really neat evening with a lot of rich history about Memphis business and entrepreneurship. At this point, I would like to introduce the current president of the Society of Entrepreneurs. Mr. Bob Wilson is the second child of 5 in a world-renowned American family. His father, the late Kemmons Wilson, was the founder and chairman of the board of Holiday Inns. Bob's entire upbringing was in the home of hospitality and business. By age 16, he had a pilot's license, following in his father's passion for aviation. Bob graduated from Southern Methodist University and went to work for the family business and enlisted in the Tennessee Air National Guard. For the last 46 years, Bob has served as vice chairman for the family privately owned business, the Kemmons Wilson Companies. In 1996, Bob realized his long-standing business dream as founder and president of Wilson Air Center, which has been recognized by flight crews as the #1 rated FBO in Americas, and the top 10 FBO for 9 years, a designation from Professional Pilot magazine, and also achieved the Operational Excellence Award. Wilson Air just keeps on getting awards, and I think Bob Wilson and his great spirit of leadership has a lot to do with that. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the president of our Society of Entrepreneurs, Mr. Bob Wilson.
Well, I got to tell you, this has been a great year for me because I've had Pearson that works so hard to really make it happen. But, you know, we tried, and we're doing things a little bit different this year. We took a step, I think a great step, and what you're going to see is fantastic. But I was reading a book. It was by John O'Leary, and I want to use 2 quotes, which I think really hits to the heart of the Society of Entrepreneurs, and also what we did with this particular event this year. And I quote John O'Leary, and by the way, he'll be here in about 10, 15 days doing a talk, which I'm really looking forward to. But he says when an organization stops innovating, it stops doing things differently, stops investing in its people, and stops dreaming big, it stops growing and begins to die. That's really true for all of our companies that we represent and things that we have done in our lives as entrepreneurs. And then this one is just absolutely hits Pearson right on the head. And by the way, she's not heard this before. Vision is worthless without the courage to risk and take action. And I think what you're going to see tonight is truly the risk and the action, but it's all come together, and it's going to be a fantastic evening. Welcome. And I got to say one other thing before I forget is, you know, this was the hotel that my father gave to the University of Memphis, and it's as pretty as I've ever seen it tonight. It's a great tribute to the staff here, and Tom Johnson, who runs it, and also for Pearson and the folks that really worked on that. But thank y'all for coming. I think you're in for a great night. You'll be pleasantly surprised with what we do, since it is totally different. And finally, I'd like to introduce Scott Morris.
So I'm almost certain that you all know that last Sunday, Society member Mike Rose died peacefully in Nashville. He was buried in Aspen, and his memorial service will be tomorrow at 3 o'clock at Temple Israel. The Society wants to give all of our love to also a Society member, Debbie Fields Rose, his wife, and their family. Mike was a complicated man. He understood business. He created thousands of jobs. He was a friend to many. I personally consider him to be my friend. I loved him for many reasons, but not the least of which is that Mike truly loved Memphis. And we will miss his friendship, we will miss his passion, and we will miss his drive. Let us pray together. God, who created this beautiful world, we are keenly aware of our imperfections. Yet you put us on this earth in part to work. And so that is what we do. Tonight we ask your blessing on those who have brought forth jobs and grown businesses that allowed so many to find meaningful work. We pray you will watch over those who take risk in hope of a better tomorrow. And when we fail, may the landing be soft. And when we succeed, may we share that success widely with all who participated. Now bless this food we eat and this time together. Be kind to those who serve us. And may our aspirations for tomorrow reflect the joy of this night of celebration. In the name of the God who sits high but looks low. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your dinner, and the program will resume in just a bit. All right, how was your dinner? I hope the dinner was as great as the obvious fellowship for everyone here tonight. Well, we got a wonderful evening for you, and it's always my pleasure to be the MC of this event, and it's a great honor for me and a great privilege. I love the Society of Entrepreneurs and all that it stands for, and tonight you're going to hear the rich history of entrepreneurship in Memphis. And while we are wrapping up dinner, I think they're delivering the desserts now. Please continue your meal or your dessert, and whenever you're comfortable, please just turn your chair around a bit where you can see the stage and the screen and so forth, because everything will be focused on this stage this year. Well, obviously, we celebrate entrepreneurship tonight. I'm convinced that entrepreneurs are the gas and oil of the free market capitalist society that we are a part of. And that's a great thing. We honor tonight the individuals who've sacrificed security for opportunity. And that's what free enterprise is really all about. I love the unlimited opportunity that goes with entrepreneurship in America as we know it. No written law or statute that says that any one of us couldn't go out in the next month or so and establish a new business. Go right ahead and make it enormously successful in every given way. It takes risk, it takes courage, it takes capital, it takes a lot of things that an entrepreneur's got to put together to make it work. I look at it like this. I think we all won the lottery just for being born in America. And entrepreneurship is what has made America as great as it is in so many ways. It's been said that it is the backbone of business as we know it. The big companies, hey, they're great, they're very important, It's the small business person who many times sees a great business grow into something that's magnificent and wonderful and highly profitable and very successful. But it starts with the spirit of entrepreneurship. Well, entrepreneurs have to face a lot of stressful times, but they do it, and they do it with courage, good old-fashioned backbone. Entrepreneurs know how to turn stress into strength. You know, it's been said that 86% of all entrepreneurs who are successful eat problems for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 86%, that's pretty good, isn't it? You know, I read recently where 42.7% of all statistics speakers use are made up on the spot. Yeah, 42.7, write that down, will you? And entrepreneurs are also able to cope with change. I love Bob Wilson mentioning innovation a little earlier. That's what it's all about, figuring out a better way to do something. I love to ask salespeople and entrepreneurs the question, tell me, how are your offerings different from and better than those of your competitors? At this day and age, anybody who answers by saying, duh, is in big trouble. We've all got to create organizations of distinction with differentiated advantages so that we can outshine our competition in these very, very challenging times. Well, I say challenging. Things seem to get better and be getting better on almost every front. Employment is up. Look at the stock market. All kinds of great things happening. It wasn't all that long ago when we were involved in bad times, when the only growth industry was pessimism. Well, that's no good deal. Yeah, the great entrepreneurs today are willing to make some changes. A lot of people aren't willing to change. It's uncomfortable. Most people don't mind change just as long as they don't have to do anything different. People will change when the pain not to change exceeds the pain to change. Bingo, that's when things happen. But we've got to create the environment where we can induce people to look for a better way. And that's one of the issues of entrepreneurship, doing everything we can to make some great things happen in that respect. Well, I'm always appreciative of the fact that the board asked me to MC these events, and they give me the license to open with a few minutes of my thoughts, and that's always fun for me. Got to tell you, you got a great evening ahead of you tonight. We're going to honor a number of people in terms of recognizing them for the job they've done in helping to grow the Society of Entrepreneurs in our 25 years of existence. We're going to talk about some rich history of the organization. And it's not just self-aggrandizing information. What it is really a great, great story of an organization that has changed the landscape of entrepreneurship in this part of the country, and indeed nationally in many regards. So the tributes tonight will be meaningful. I think we'll find it to be very interesting, and it'll be very informing because it's going to help give you a better idea of why Memphis is the great and dynamic city that it is today, with so many good things happening. So, by the way, I want to also mention in your program there's a list of sponsors. Now, I could very enthusiastically spend about 5 minutes on each one of those sponsors and tell you what great companies they are, not only to sponsor this dinner, but because they have enjoyed success and they continue to support the Society of Entrepreneurs. But read that list, do business with those organizations, and I think you'll be glad that you did. Now, tonight, in addition to having a few speakers and some very interesting presentations, we've also got some videos, so make sure you're comfortable where you can see the screens tonight. And that will give you an opportunity to get a little better idea of what's going on. We've got a lot of people who put a lot of work into this, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So at this time, I'd like to bring up our first person who's got a major part on the program, and that's a founding member of our society, Ms. Ellen Rolfs, the only female president we've had in the Society of Entrepreneurs. Ellen is a visual patternist who built a career by weaving her insights into the existing fabric of institutions, helping them discover stories within, inspiring their bold visions to address societal change. Her career began as a seminar trainer. Wow. Ellen even came to one of our National Speakers Association conventions a few years ago. By the way, if anybody ever invites you to a speakers convention, go. You'll find it amusing. Nobody can get a word in edgewise. We don't have any listeners there, but Ellen is a great presenter indeed, and she guided women to explore their communal stories through the cookbook, working with junior leagues and other nonprofits led her to create a new community cookbook genre in New York, trade publishing through Ellen Rolfe's Books with 17 titles, all with major publishers. Ellen founded the Ole Miss Women's Council, which now grows its $12 million endowment and helps to lead the university. She is known for changing the landscape and cultural giving patterns in healthcare and the arts by bringing diversity and inclusion into their donor bases. Now she heads the ACE Awareness Foundation, where she works on a national basis for the social movement to improve adverse childhood experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, a great entrepreneur who's got a great presentation tonight. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Ellen Rolfes.
Good evening. We all know the wonderful entrepreneur Steve Jobs, and he said something quite notoriously once. He said, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round peg in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify them, vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see as the crazy ones, we entrepreneurs see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that do so." Tonight, we are celebrating this kind of person at our 25th anniversary of the Society of Entrepreneurs. Our founder, Walker Uelhorn, is really a visionary leader. He knew that the soul of any culture is aborted when the imagination and creativity of its best and the brightest is not honored. That's really the purpose of our society, to honor that spirit of the best and the brightest, those who had the courage to follow their own dreams. So it is extremely important that I ask our founder, Walker Uelhorn, to stand, and let's give him the honor he deserves. You know, Walker, I'm going to tell you, man, it seems like yesterday when we had our first dinner. And I remember being so nervous when we walked into the lobby of the Crescent Center, where there were 4 round tables for us to sit with our spouses. Walker literally pulled me aside and said, "Ellen, I've been trying to call you all day." Of course, we didn't have cell phones, and I doubt we even had an answer machine. He said, I forgot to do it yesterday, but I wanted you to know you and I are going to be the program tonight." And I was utterly mortified. So soon I stood awkwardly beside him, almost paralyzed, and we began to talk. And the words came from somewhere, and we got through it. But as the night evolved, I realized that I really was in rarefied air. I was privileged to be with the very few in my community who dared to follow their own visions, not those of others. In other words, the people in that room refused to play the part that was assigned to them. They had their own path to follow. As time went on, our motley crew moved to small meetings with sack lunches at the Pink Palace. We were kind of renegades, and we would sit around laughing and telling stories of how we dwelled in possibilities and saw patterns others did not yet see. I remember one particular lunch when Mike Starnes said to me, he said, "You certainly aren't afraid to talk to CEOs." And I looked at that man and I said, "That's because I am a CEO. I said, "I have a corporation and I have a letterhead, stationary just like the rest of you. I just didn't tell him it was not publicly held." We built our work on solid business principles, surrounded ourselves with strong, trusted teams and strategic alliances. But we were guided by this internal mechanism that some call just a gut feeling. We all had in common an intuitive knowing of what we were going to do was going to be build something that others had missed. I have been in Memphis since childhood and know the unspoken things about our city. I have experienced the status quo, the complacency as the norm for Memphis. But something dynamic is happening here for the first time in my lifetime, and I was actually talking to the mayor tonight about it. Something is bubbling up in the most unsuspected places, forming a critical mass of economic and social change, shifting our community into its rightful destiny of a vibrant city on the national stage. We're not there yet, but you can literally feel a seismic shift that is occurring in Memphis. Memphis is different, and it's very much alive. I cannot help but think this entrepreneurial energy was first galvanized by Walker Yulhorn when his dream was for the society. And his harnessing this collective vision of our membership literally pushed the reset button for Memphis. Now unfolding before us is this unwavering conviction for our community to follow its dreams, not those assigned to us by other cities, as we go forward together. So tonight, let's recognize the 15 people who sat together to form the society. It was Marvin Bruce, Huey Holden, Sam Hollis, our wonderful Don Hudson, L.R. Jelinek, Scott Ledbetter, the late Lloyd Lovett, John Malmo, John McQuiston, Art Cecil, Mike Starnes, Henry Turley, the late Mickey Lawkoff Walker, and certainly our own Walker Yulhorn. We now have the privilege of seeing a brief video of those members who later joined our society as we begin to understand from their perspective why Memphis.
Well, I think it's probably the great meritocracy in the United States. If you want to try something, you're welcome to give it a shot in Memphis. If you want to get involved in something, you don't have to have a pedigree, you don't have to have an apprenticeship. You just show up.
There was an opportunity to build a New York Stock Exchange firm in Memphis, was what got us started. A lot of the other southern cities had their own homegrown firms, and Memphis didn't have one. And so that was the opportunity we saw. We aspired to do both stocks and later bonds, and be that firm in Memphis.
So Memphis was the big city. Memphis was the big city you came to get school closed in the fall, and it was the place that I felt like I could probably start a career.
You ask why did we start our business here? Because that's where we were. More unusual than not. I knew what I wanted to do when I was at MIT, so I studied exactly what I needed because I always knew I would go in business with my father. And that's when we began the growth of our business as a development company in 1948.
Two reasons, I guess, in that one, we lived here and this was our home. Second, our business, of course, is a bond business, and this is a real hotbed, bond salespeople. So you had access to skilled people. They were here, so that's not like starting in Nashville or St. Louis or other places where there weren't so many people.
And so we started from scratch in 1979 with our first store, which we called Auto Shack at the time. And course, fortunately, our concept for that market was very successful. In fact, it's changed very little over the years, other than we obviously became better at executing the business as we learned more about the business, and as we developed more sophistications in our operations. So, I mean, really, that's how, I started AutoZone. Of course, I grew up in the Malone and Hyde, the food business.
And if you want to connect the four corners of the United States, Seattle, San Diego, Boston, and Miami, and a speed of 500 miles an hour in a jet airplane, you have to have a central switching location or a central hub. That means there are a relatively small number of major airports in that area that can accommodate an overnight express system like we contemplated. And Memphis had several advantages. First, it was a little bit further west, which fit the range of the airplanes we had at the time, a little bit further south, so the weather was better. Most importantly, we had virtually no fog in Memphis. I think in 40 some odd years of operations, we probably have 3 or 4 nights of fog.
I'm from Memphis, and yeah, I guess we came here when I was in the second grade. So yeah, this is my hometown. As far as transportation and distributing, it's a great location. I mean, I knew that then when I started my business. And I'd been in another business. I'd seen what good service we got out of Memphis on shipments too. So Memphis is a great distribution point. So and then I started about the same time that FedEx started. So then they came around, so that even made it better. So it's been a great city for us.
Amazing. In closing, it's my privilege to introduce those founding members present tonight. Walker, Don Hudson, and Art Cecil, please come forward to the stage. I ask my brothers to join me here for a brief photo and to accept a token of our appreciation for the incredible legacy you've given us. Thank you.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I'm getting in the middle of this. Okay. It's our party, baby. Come on, guys.
Okay.
You get me down, that's your treat.
All right. Thank you very much, Ellen Ross. Well done. It's my pleasure now to introduce a 1996 inductee, past president of the Society, Master Entrepreneur Award recipient, and founder and chairman of Varsity Brands Incorporated. Jeff Webb, in 1974, was a 23-year-old former Yale leader at the University of Oklahoma, and he had a vision to transform an iconic American leadership activity into a modern athletic and entertainment phenomenon. He selected Memphis as his base, and he set up the first world headquarters in the second bedroom of his apartment. Sounds like a gutsy move, Jeff. To teach schools this new concept, he conducted training camps on college campuses that attracted 4,000 students that first summer and actually made a profit. The company has enjoyed dramatic growth and now has 300,000 summer camp students and conducts national and international cheerleading championships that are broadcast globally. Varsity is now the nation's leading sporting goods supplier and provider of graduation products, with over 8,000 employees and annual revenues exceeding $1.5 billion. To tell us more about entrepreneurship, please join me in welcoming Mr. Jeff Webb.
Thank you, Don. Pearson and the board asked that I talk to you tonight a little bit about how we struggled with constructing our organization in the early days. You know, one of our big challenges was how to select new members. Part of the charter of the society is to identify and honor successful entrepreneurs in the Mid-South. So we really struggled with what criteria to use when we were considering new members. We tried using the classical kind of basic definitions of entrepreneur, and it just didn't work for us. So for instance, we would be at a meeting and someone would nominate a new member, and the board would evaluate the candidate, and we had these very spirited debates on things like, did the candidate actually found their own business? And was that really that important? Or did they possibly take an existing business and radically grow and transform it? Or were they really an entrepreneur, or more of just a successful business executive, which was still very important? The nominees were almost always very successful. They had great companies, and they were individuals who contributed greatly to our community. But as we reminded ourselves, this wasn't the Successful Business Persons Club. It was a society of entrepreneurs. So during one of our selection meetings, we went back and forth on who we were going to invite in, and we decided to quit trying to define entrepreneur, but rather to look at kind of the major overriding characteristics we see in the most prominent entrepreneurs. And we had that aha moment, that epiphany. So first, it's vision. Entrepreneurs almost always begin with a unique idea or concept, and they see an opportunity where they can truly build something of value. And by the way, that is almost always not just about how to make more money. Second, risk. You heard Bob Wilson talk about that early on. You know, it's one thing to do something very well and be compensated for it. But high-level entrepreneurs almost always take personal risk in their endeavors, not just risking their time or their careers or their position, but by putting real skin in the game. It's part of their commitment to their vision and their mission. And finally, in this path to success, they achieve strategic growth. That original vision expands. It makes twists and turns, and it's refined and sometimes redefined. New parts or divisions are bolted on to expand and maximize the endeavor and its impact. So it became vision, risk, and strategic growth. Now, these three characteristics are not part of any checklist for entrepreneurs when they begin their quest. They're not really conscious of them. But I believe these criteria have served our society well over the years, as is evidenced by the terrific people who have been inducted. So with that as a framework, we'll now hear the views of some of the Mid-South's most successful entrepreneurs on the personal qualities they feel are so important in turning an entrepreneurial dream into a reality.
I think the biggest quality for a successful entrepreneur is to be a good leader. There's lots of people that have great ideas and they're real smart, but they can't lead the organization. So their ideas fall by the wayside because there was no execution. I don't think you have to be near as smart to be a good entrepreneur as a good leader, because people count on you for your leadership and what direction we need to go, and you have to be steady.
You know, one of the things that helped me was to be focused. I had I had an idea, and I had seen that one company start up. I saw that they were successful, and I thought, well, that's something I could do. They were in New York, but I said, that's something I could do.
Vision, having a concept and an idea of what you want to do and what it is going to provide, our society. So having a vision, that doesn't mean it has to be all the way through the end. Most entrepreneurs have the start of a vision and then they're opportunistic along the way and build on that.
You got to be flexible, willing to change. Just meet the times. Deal with it every day, straight up. Face the problems. And there are plenty of them out there. But they hadn't gone away, so you can handle them.
What's it take to be an entrepreneur? And I think that's probably the key word there is a passion for what you're doing and a work ethic to be willing to put in the time.
Be ready for an emotional roller coaster. You're going to have highs and you're going to have lows, and hopefully you can deal with both of those because hopefully you'll land up on the high, but you're going to go up and down.
They have to be driven. I mean, it cannot just be a job. It cannot just be an intention or a focus. They have to be driven where I know there are times they probably aren't thinking about their work, but most times, whether they're off work or sleeping at night or on vacation or on the weekends, I mean, they are thinking about what they can do to enhance the future of their organization.
Hard work and determination. Yeah, you need a certain level of creativity mixed in with all of that. But, if you're willing to put the effort and you're determined, you improve your odds tremendously.
Work for some other company first and learn what you think you want to be. So by getting practical experience, of course, on top of that is education.
You have to have passion. You have to have passion around what you believe in, your cause, what you're trying to do, and then you have to have a plan that you can sustain over time. It's very easy to start something. It is very hard to sustain something.
Well, they often say that, being an entrepreneur requires a little bit of craziness, and I think that's true. It's a choice that's not for everyone. You've got to be willing to be objective and analytical. You can't be emotional. You've got to pick a business which has a point of differentiation, and you have to have a business that is differentiated where you can sustain that competitive differentiation. And I think you've got to be prepared to work hard and get good people to work with you, and I think you've got to be dedicated to your business, and that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
Good job, Jeff. Thank you very much. Next, it's my privilege to introduce two of our esteemed female members of the Society of Entrepreneurs who will be coming up. I will introduce them individually, and then they'll come up together momentarily to talk to you about our mentoring program at the Society of Entrepreneurs, which is very exciting. First, a 2014 Society of Entrepreneurs inductee, current board member, and mentor to the Insights Group, founder and CEO of DataFax, Ms. Daphne Large. Daphne started in the consumer reporting industry at age 16 with Equifax services. Recognizing a competitive advantage in 1989 at the age of 27, Daphne founded DataFax, which provides information employers and lenders can trust and rely on to make sound hiring and lending decisions. She's built DataFax on the founding principle that if you take care of your people, they will take care of your customers, who in turn will take care of DataFax. Today, DataFax serves customers across 38 states through offices in Memphis, Houston, and Little Rock, with satellite offices throughout the United States. Daphne was inducted in the Society of Entrepreneurs in 2014 and serves on the Society board, and she served as president of the National Consumer Reporting Association. She's current chairman of the New Memphis Institute's Board of Trustees, serves on the University of Memphis Leadership, Education, and Development Board, and St. George's Board of Trustees. Daphne will come forth in just a moment, but let me also introduce the lady she has worked very closely with, and that is Denise Burnett Stewart. And 29 years ago, this August, Denise, a former nursing instructor, staffed the first shift for the newly formed OR Nurses Incorporated. Carol Patterson and Denise, both surgical nurses, knew they could help supply the best surgery nurses for hospitals and surgery centers in the Mid-South, and they did just that. In 1990, sadly, Carol passed away, but Denise moved forward to make OR Nurses a company for which Carol would have been very proud. OR Nurses grew to be the largest woman-owned business in Shelby County. And in 2013, Denise received the Corporate E Award from the Tennessee Council on Women. Today, newly named OR Nurses nationwide staffs over 500 healthcare professionals in over 1,000 facilities nationally. She currently serves on Baptist College of Health Sciences Board, Life Wings Partners Board of Governors, formerly on the Church Health Board and the Society of Entrepreneurs Executive Committee. So now, please join me in welcoming both Denise and Daphne to the stage.
Thank you, Dawn, for your gracious introductions for Daphne and me. And I also want to say, Ellen, you're my hero. I'm just going to say that out loud. Thank you for what you did to pave the way for us. And we're very honored to be part of this organization. The Society of Entrepreneurs offers 3 opportunities for businessmen and women to learn, collaborate, and mentor. First, the Entrepreneurs Roundtable, which began in 2000, is designed to bring together the community's emerging business owners and entrepreneurs for open discussions and informative talks by influential business and civic leaders. Roundtable members are all Memphis business owners, and they attend the monthly lunch meetings as their schedules allow. Meetings are held at various locations throughout the city of Memphis. Since the Roundtable was formed, there have been 204 events with 6,849 attendees. Some of our favorite talks have been with Robert and Susie Wang of Creative Co-op, Jay Martin with Juice Plus, Spence Wilson with Kimmons Wilson Companies, and Bob Wilson, Wilson Air Center, and Charles Ewing with Ewing Moving Services. We're all looking forward to hearing Dr. Scott Morris with Church Health on April the 20th at the new Crosstown building. And let me say about the Roundtable, tonight our musical performance was from someone that we met at the Roundtable, Jerry Finney. So thank you, Jerry, for your wonderful musical accompaniment. And they will be playing after this session tonight, so we can all enjoy them. Second, Core Conversations was formed in 2008 from an idea shared by Dave Barger, founder of LunaWeb, former Insights Group member, and consistent supporter of the Society of Entrepreneurs dinner every year. Sadly, Dave passed away in 2014. He would be thrilled to see how it has grown. Core Conversations enlists members of the Society of Entrepreneurs to host tables at a luncheon each November where they share their insights and answer questions for those who attend. After the entree portion, the tables rotate for dessert so the attendees can benefit from more than one member's expertise. This past November, there were 19 members as table hosts held at the new guest house at Graceland Hotel. And a third program that is offered by the Society of Entrepreneurs is the Insights Group, which I joined in 2002, and that was their first year. Daphne Large, my dear friend and fellow business woman, is going to share more about this impactful mentoring program.
Thank you, Denise. I just get so excited about the Insights Group. It's just an amazing group of business owners that are chosen to participate in small group meetings, which are held monthly. Now, these are not newbies. These are highly successful business owners that are dedicated to their businesses, their teams, and to Memphis. And so this group comes together to learn together and openly share and discuss the challenges and successes of owning and running your own business. And for entrepreneurs, we know sometimes it is a roller coaster. Now, members of the society serve as mentors to this group, donating their time, sharing their stories, offering their expertise and their advice so freely. And they have meant so much to this group, and we will be honoring them tonight. So I asked a few of the participants in this group, what has the group meant to them? Kathy Fish, president of Fish and Associates, told me that it has created a group of trusted advisors who can relate to the ups and downs of being a business owner, and that the friendships that have come as a result of being involved are one of the very best outcomes. Sridhar Sankara, CEO of both Think Proxy and eBiz Solutions, shared with me that the mentors have just been phenomenal in donating their time, and they have been great guides and role models, and that he didn't think that he could get this experience anywhere else, and feels so fortunate to be a part of this group. And lastly, Sterling Howell, the CEO of A1 Staffing, shared with me that the meetings, the people, and the sharing have given her such great ideas to take back to her own business. And their words truly embody the spirit and the passion that is so much a part of this very, very special group. So at this time, we would like to begin honoring the mentors. And so mentors, as we call your name, if you would come to the stage to receive your plaque, and then remain on the stage, please, until the last mentor is recognized, as we'll have a quick group photo. But first, we'd also like to call up our own Vanna White, Gary Wunderlich, and ask him to come up and help with the honors. Now, you all know Gary. He is the CEO of Wunderlich Securities, which he founded in 1996. He was inducted into the Society of Entrepreneurs in 2014. And he is unique in that, along with Denise and I, he's the only other member of the Society of Entrepreneurs to have come up and participated in the Insights group. And he currently serves on the Society Board of Directors.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Gary. I wanted to say something else about Gary. Gary and I, that's very good. Gary and I were Insight group members together, and it is rewarding to see that in 2016, Wunderlich Securities celebrated 20 years in business. Since its founding, Wunderlich has evolved from a 10-person company in Memphis to a full-service regional firm with over 450 professionals, 25 offices across 17 states, and over $10 billion in client assets. Congratulations, Gary, on building Wunderlich Securities to compete on the national stage and yet keeping Memphis your corporate home. Thank you. Okay, the first mentor that we would like to recognize is my own Daphne Large.
You did great. Next, we'd like to call up Dick Gadomski. You see Dick? He's coming up here. He's coming up here. You want a picture with Dick? Oh, that's okay. Here we go.
Okay, okay. Okay, we're all in. Okay, great. The next mentor, oh, I'm sorry.
I already screwed up. You're here. Stay here. Okay? Sorry. Don't leave.
Don't leave.
I had one rule. Don't let them leave. So.
Oh, thank
gonna
you,
get a picture
thank you.
of
She's already here, so thank you for that. LD Beard is one of a mentor that I remember from the very beginning, and he's not with us tonight, but we do want to recognize him, and we will get his plaque to him.
We'd like to call up Ben Bryant. Ben here.
And I have the pleasure of calling up Walker Yulhorn.
Mary McDonald.
George Falls. George was one of our mentors that introduced both Daphne and I on the years we were inducted.
Thank you, George. Doug Marchant.
David Wedeman.
And a real legend, Rudy Scheit. Mike Bruns. And I have to add that Mike was my mentor as well as Denise's as we both came through the Insights group. So he has a very, very special place in both of our hearts. And Mike, where is he? Beyond being a sounding board for business advice and always making me laugh, you taught me, not through your words, but through your actions, to give all that you can, as long as you can, to as many people as you can, and I so very much appreciate that. You truly make a difference.
One quick note I want to add about Mike. Much like Daphne shared, Mike, you have been an inspiration and encouragement to me. I think you were instrumental in believing in both of us and saying we deserve to be part of this society. So thank you for that. Many of the examples of employee engagement and corporate culture I learned from you and I implemented at OR Nurses nationwide. One example, visitors to our corporate office have always commented on the years of service displayed at each employee's desk. Thank you for your time and for caring enough to give back. Now, in closing, none of these programs and the enormous benefit gained from them would be if not for one person, and that's Pearson Crutcher. Yes. Pearson has tirelessly directed and managed the Society of Entrepreneurs, kept all the entrepreneurs on point for meetings, events, and programs, which at times had to be like herding cats, and doing so with a sense of humor, grace, and dignity. Thank you, Pearson, for all you are and all you have done to help the Society of Entrepreneurs reach this milestone of celebrating 25 years. So. Okay, now we need to do the photo. Okay.
How do we want to do this?
That's going to be a big photo.
If I can get a handful of you to come down here. Yeah.
All the tall guys go. Oh, sorry.
Can I get you to come down, and sir, can I get you to come down?
Two more people to come down. George and David. Not Walker, he's short.
Come on up closer to everybody. Come on up. All right. Let's go, guys. We're gonna take quite a few. Here we go.
Well, special thanks to Denise and Daphne for spearheading the mentor program and your great job tonight. And special thanks to all the mentors for the great work you've put in for the good of our community and spreading the concept of entrepreneurship. Great tribute. It's one of the things we can do to give back. It's a great program. At this time, I'd like to ask our next person to come to the stage for presentation, a 2004 inductee, past president, past master entrepreneur, and retired founder and past president of Comtract Logistics. Mike Bruns started his entrepreneurial journey in 1983. He had no choice because he had no job. The transportation company that moved him from Chicago to Memphis was his third employer that went bankrupt. So he had learned exactly what not to do. He started Comtract with one truck, one driver, and one dream. By treating his employees like family with respect and integrity, it soon became clear that Comtract's growth and reputation in the marketplace had surpassed every intermodal player in the country. And it wasn't long before Mike became an industry spokesman. When Mike sold his company and retired in 2010, he had 23 terminals in cities coast to coast and operated over 1,500 trucks. But no one really remembers Mike for all his trucks. Rather, they know him as a family man who shares his time and his good fortune with so many. And Memphis is a better place thanks to Mike Bruns. Ladies and gentlemen, to tell us about the Master Entrepreneur Award, please welcome to the stage Mike Bruns.
Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate the very kind introduction. I've had a few opportunities over the years to address this distinguished group, and each time I'm more humbled. Standing amongst the most incredible human beings
in this city makes me excited and more proud today than when I was inducted in 2004. All of my best friends are here tonight. The SOE's very existence and mission was built on the premise to share each of our members' unique experiences, expertise, knowledge, wisdom, and yes, even our wealth with others. The insight groups and roundtable discussions mentioned earlier are a constant reminder of all the people that this membership touches and teaches every single day. Junior Achievement, in partnership with the SOE, has identified individuals within the SOE called Master Entrepreneurs. Master Entrepreneurs exemplify extraordinary talent, courage, and business acumen while being a significant contributor to the common good of American business and the community by which they serve. Let's let a few of those master entrepreneurs share their wisdom and expertise in our next video.
You know, some colleges now have courses and majors in entrepreneurship. That's always interested me because I've felt like most entrepreneurs, and many don't even know they're entrepreneurs until they're thrust in that position and they take an idea and they run with it. But I think certain qualities, I don't know that you're born with those qualities, maybe you develop them, you know, through your upbringing and so on. But I think that you have to have certain innate qualities, the competitiveness, the vision, you know, the leadership to really succeed as an entrepreneur.
They have to find the passion, and when they find a passion in themselves and they want to act upon it, that's a powerful. And you know, you're not necessarily born with passion, I don't think, but you discover passion, and that is a powerful, powerful motive.
I just think there's something innate in most entrepreneurs. I think someone can be trained, but they've got to really want to be trained, and they've got to go to school. I mean, I think most of us e-villagers, we went to school, when we started e-villagers, and we've never stopped going to school. We're constantly reading and talking and learning and asking people questions and trying to find out what are the best ways to help a young person and their families, looking at all the data and research as well as doing our own research. So I think you've got to have that, I mean, just an overwhelming sense of curiosity, but also a sense of how you can bring a bunch of different people together that have different ideas to come with one grand plan that's really going to help you fulfill your mission.
Well, I think they can be made. I think you need to, I know from my instance, I was taught a lot of business skills, I was taught concepts, I was taught leadership, I was taught a whole lot of things by everybody that I had the opportunity to interact with along the way. Basically, I'm as they say, part of everyone I met along the way, and it was that training that permitted me to have whatever success I've had.
The greatest reward for me owning my business has been to watch the other people grow and prosper as a result of it. Taking someone who had no idea about our business, they learned the business, they became educated about it, and they reached new heights, not only within the business, but within their own bodies, or within their own selves and their souls, to where they couldn't wait to come to work each and every day because they felt good about themselves as a result of yesterday's productivity.
I hate to say it's an ego trip, but you know, to start something, have it be profitable, and have it grow, and share in the success is very, very rewarding.
we're able to give back to the community. And we've, in the last 10 years, we've really tried to step up our efforts in philanthropy, and so we've done real well in that area, and it really makes you feel good to do that.
The greatest pleasure I have personally had is to see that our family has been able to operate a business which has brought success for us, but at the same time, wonderful benefits for the city and our community.
If you don't like the Harahan Bridge, if you haven't walked across the bridge, there's something wrong with you. I truly believe it will change our city in powerful ways. There are so many good things about Memphis, anywhere from going to Overton Square to we love the Levitt Shell.
Years back, we had a group of large brokers from all over the country came in to do an audit and a review of Cry-Like. And I remember one of the brokers, I was in the car with him as we were going into some of our branch offices, and he made the comment about what a beautiful city and how wide the streets were and how big the trees were. And so I think we take those things for granted. You go to some other cities and they don't have the greenery we have, they don't have the big trees, they don't have the tree-lined streets that we have. That's something that I think we as Memphians take for granted. And probably the main thing is the people. The people in Memphis are unbelievable, warm, friendly, the greatest people in the world.
Thanks to all the participants on the video for allowing us to realize firsthand some of the reasons that you are such wonderful entrepreneurs and outstanding people. While there are many pieces of a puzzle that make a person successful in business and entrepreneurially in spirit, there are probably more similarities in the soul than even on the surface. Those similar character traits are the very reasons we have a bond among us. There is something binding within the soul when someone who understands the feeling when one lies in bed at night, wondering how he will make a payroll, and wondering what people will think about him if he doesn't. You see, the entrepreneurs in this room may have made a few bucks along the way, but they remember where they came from. You realize that in spite of all the awards, all the recognitions, all the success, a loving family is still more important. All of you recognize that the sacrifice made by others for you, both family and employees, and you appreciate those sacrifices because those are the very people who made you who you are. All of us have matured to realize that a swelled heart from giving and sharing feels way better than a swelled pocketbook gained from holding and hoarding. You know that maintaining integrity in business is more important than the bottom line, simply because integrity is the bottom line. You have earned that reputation. You have learned that your reputation is really the only business card you'll ever carry. It is my honor and my privilege to introduce just one group, the Master Entrepreneurs here tonight, who share these same beliefs and values. I will call you up one by one, but you can wait and come all up together so we could expedite the evening. I'd like to call up Jack Bells, Bob Buckman, Hilliard Cruz, Harold Cry, Pat Lawler, Brad Martin, Scott Morris, Jim Vining, Jeff Webb, and Spence Wilson. Let's give them a round of applause as they approach the stage. We all square?
We're going to do the same thing, guys. After everybody gets everything, we're going to get 5 of you down here.
I'll come down.
Yeah, if you could come down, sir, if you could come down here, and you, sir, and Ms. Morris, if you could come down as well.
That's what you get for saying.
Hi, Brad. Sir, if I could get you to
I get to be the tall guy. Is this unbleached?
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the United States here. Don, you're up.
How about one more round of applause for our master entrepreneurs? And just to be sure you didn't miss it, Mike Bruns is also in that august group. And Mike, thank you for a great presentation. And Mayor Strickland, how you like that great things about Memphis section? Pretty cool, huh? That was good. And I love Scott Morris mentioning the great bridge across the Harahan. I've been walking that bridge, but I get my greatest pleasure. I call my buddies around the country. How you doing, Hudson? Man, I'm doing great. I got up early this morning and walked to Arkansas. Now, for my downtown residents, it's 46 minutes round trip, but it makes it sound like I walked 35 miles. That was all great until my buddy Sanborn in Denver said, yeah, Hudson, why don't you try Nebraska for a while and you get in shape? Well, hey, what the heck? I agree, Scott. It's a great walk. Don't deprive yourself of that great Memphis treasure. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce the force behind MCD Partners, a retired Secretary of Education and Superintendent of the Catholic Schools for the Diocese of Memphis and current Secretary-Treasurer of the Board. That's Mary McDonald, and in 1998, Dr. Mary was faced with a life-changing challenge, both to her life and to the lives of thousands of inner-city children living in poverty in Memphis. She knew that education was the best way to break that cycle of poverty. As a school superintendent, she was the architect of the Jubilee Schools, 8 long-closed Catholic schools in the inner city that were reopened under her leadership. The Jubilee Schools reversed the trend of failing schools in the inner city and were a catalyst for education reform both locally and nationally. After 14 years as superintendent and growing the Catholic school system in Memphis from 14 schools to 29, Mary retired in 2012 to continue as a social entrepreneur, starting her own education consulting firm, MCD Partners. In the past 5 years, with a presence in 34 states, they've assisted others to address the education needs of inner-city children and ensure a quality education that provides an educated workforce and future leaders across the country. Mary will share the vision of our great new book. You've just heard about the book. Every couple here tonight will receive at departure a copy of a wonderful book of which we're all very proud, just hot off the press. And to tell you about it now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Mary McDonald.
Thank you, Don. There's something in this water. Yeah, there is something in this water. It's Memphis water. And what's in that water is the soul of an entrepreneur. At your table, you have a glass of water. I'd like everybody to pick up their glass of water and raise it up, and let us toast to all of those entrepreneurs, past, present, and future, that have made Memphis the great city it is. Hear, hear to all of the entrepreneurs. You know, when we were trying to decide what really would be the best way to celebrate the 25th anniversary of a Society of Entrepreneurs, it was Pearson, our executive director, that said, why don't we tell the story? So that's what we did. We've told the story, the great story of the entrepreneurs, because we want to continue to educate and motivate and inspire others. Because being an entrepreneur is not about yourself, it's about what you're doing for other people. So that was what we've done. Written a book about all of the entrepreneurs in the society so that others will be able to follow in their footsteps in the future and continue to make Memphis great. So now, without further ado, I'd like to invite our founder, Walker Ulhorn, and our president, Bob Wilson, up to the stage to unveil There's Something in the Water.
Must be something in the water.
There's something in the water.
So it must be something in the water.
There must be something in the water.
There must be something in the water.
Obviously, there must be something in the water.
There must be something in the water.
There certainly must be something in the water.
It must be something in the water.
Well, there must be something in the water.
Well, a special word of thanks is in order for everybody who worked so hard to get that book together. Pearson, you spearheaded it, and contemporary media helped us make it happen, and you're going to get your copy tonight. That is indeed the cover of the book, and hope you enjoy reading it. This concludes the formal part of our program. Thanks to everybody for coming, but please don't leave because the bars are open with great entrepreneurial spirit until 10:30. Enjoy your evening and all of your fellow seatmates. Thank you very much for coming.